Becky Swain was in a mood that could bend the air. The last weeks had been an uncanny collection of nearly calamities, a chilling wreath left on her step, a near miss in a hospital bed that turned into a public scandal, an angry, intimate row in a living room that used to be safe. She was tired in the way of people who have learned to be brave every morning, and she was prickly with the sort of resentment that keeps you awake long after the room goes dark. Don Costello had the look of someone who has spent too long in corridors of authority. The uniform had once looked like armor on him, but the last year had put dents in that armor, the kind that are not easy to buff out. His public persona was steady, his private life was messy. The attack outside the precinct had left him hurt, the coma had left the town nervous, and the long public unspooling of secrets had left him, oddly, smaller in the eyes of people who'd once trusted his hand. Kit Green had always been the kind of man whose calm was a practical tool. Where others shouted, Kit looked for pattern. Where gossip drifted into accusations, he asked for evidence. He'd been in charge of certain inquiries, and his life had the wear of someone who learned to make lists and cross items off them like a person balancing a ship in a storm. That night, as he walked past Weatherfield General on a dull dusk, he saw two people in a small pool of light through the hospital's glass, a man and a woman. He should have kept walking. He did not. No six, by then, had ceased to feel like a single household and more like a small diplomatic zone. Carla and Lisa's life had been stretched, folded, rearranged. Becky's return had made everything simultaneously rawer and messy. There had been efforts at reconciliation, apologies, counseling, attempts at boundaries, but the overriding atmosphere was one of suspicion and fragile peace, like a glass half filled and trembling. Kit's first sight through the ward window was brief. Two figures, a dim bed, the soft glow of monitors. He paused out of professional instinct. People do not touch when there is nothing to hide. He could see that Becky was there again by the bedside, that Costello lay propped with pillows, monitors taking the small measure of his breath. Kit's throat tightened on a thought he had not allowed himself. Becky had been there before in contentious ways. A woman who had attempted extremes, and who had lately behaved in ways that made the police place her name in the margin of many reports. He moved closer on the pavement instinctively, as if the act of being present might change the outcome he feared. Inside the hospital, behind slow glass and sterilized light, human decisions unfold in punctuated smallness. Becky and Costello were talking in lower voices. Becky's face was a map of weary lines. Costello's jaw was set. You could read negotiations into the gap between them, the sort of negotiations people make when they are balancing the cost of silence against the cost of truth. Listen, Becky said in a voice that was both urgent and small. You know why I'm here. This has to stop. Whatever part you've been playing, it's got to end. Betsy shouldn't have to be scared every morning when she goes to school. Costello's eyes, the same eyes that had once held authority through interrogation rooms, softened for a second. Becky, he said carefully, I did what I had to do. You weren't supposed to get dragged back into this. You chose to come back. You chose to be a part of the people who put me into a program down. Don't lecture me about choices. Her words were blunt. I survived because I had to. I am not the one who made the ledger of decisions that put people at risk. Costello shifted in his seat. For someone who had always had the ability to structure a sentence to his advantage, he chose restraint now. You keep making the statements that make my job harder, Becky. You come in here, you talk to my family, you contact people. You stick your head in a place that we were trying to protect. Becky's laugh was short and brittle. You kept my life in a box and called it safety. You put me away. Do you imagine I am grateful? I lost 4 years. I lost my child's childhood. Don't talk to me about protecting things that you slotted into a drawer. The things they did not say were louder than words. The legal entanglements, the moral compromises, the small betrayals made to protect something larger than the individual. Kit, listening at the glass from outside, felt his stomach clench. There are moments when the body's instinct reads the world's mismatch between what is said and what is meant. He had a camera phone drawn quietly into his palm. He took a breath, thinking of evidence, of profiles, of the cold way law translates behavior into clauses. He should have left. There was nothing official about him leaning to peer, but the man in him could not. He would be the one who paid attention. Then, with